Hi everybody, and welcome back to video number 3 in chapter 17. And when we left off, we'll take a moment to review the fact that number 1 here, product unit cost is lower for the standard go-kart versus the custom. And number 2, the cost difference is the largest using ABC. And number 3, more accurate overhead allocation leads to better product pricing and product mix decisions as the costs are more accurate. Okay, so if we look here at the plant-wide method, the standard go-kart appears to be losing money. The selling price is only $1,200, where our product cost is $1,470. And that product cost, of course, includes direct material, direct labor, and the critical piece here is overhead. And the custom go-kart was selling at $3,500, but its product cost using the plant-wide rate method was $2,300, and that gave us a gross profit of $1,200. But using activity-based costing, the reverse is true. The selling price of $1,200 for the standard go-kart generates $160 of gross profit because the product cost is $1,040, shown here. And the custom go-kart, the selling price remains the same, but the product cost is substantially more using activity-based costing, which results in a gross profit, a negative gross profit, shall we say. And so that is a fairly nice depiction of when activity-based costing might be more useful in helping you make better product pricing decisions and product mix decisions. All right, let's take a look at describing the 4 types of activities that cause overhead costs. Here we have 4 levels: unit level, batch level, product level, and facility level. The unit level is one that's performed on each unit, such as these direct labor people in production. The batch level is performed only on batches. And here we have some men setting up machines. Okay, the product level is performed on the product line. And you can see here that we have some people doing design changes. And finally, facility level. Here, we're sustaining facility capacity as a whole. So our factory services, such as the custodian here, keeping the plant clean and that kind of thing, are facility level activities. So here, some examples of unit level. Here we're cutting parts or assembling components, and a logical activity driver would be machine hours or direct labor hours. On the batch level, setting up machines, we might use the number of setups. Receiving shipments, we might use the number of shipments or the number of receiving documents. Sampling product quality, we might take a look at the number of batches. And then recycling hazardous waste, we would look at maybe the tons recycled. For product level, we have design, and those are change requests that come in. And then controlling inventory, we might have parts per product. And lastly, our facility level here, cleaning the factory, providing electricity, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, And our activity driver might be the square footage for cleaning the factory, but kilowatt hours for providing electricity and reducing greenhouse gas emissions might be the tons of CO2. Okay. So when we allocate overhead costs to service companies using activity-based costing, this would make sense for service companies too. So here, ABC applies to service providers. Service companies must or should classify costs by activity levels of unit, batch, service, and facility. So here, if I'm a sports arena, I'm selling a ticket to a fan, that's unit level. I'm hiring vendors and security for a game, that's batch level. If I'm scheduling a season of games, that's a service level. And finally, cleaning the arena, providing utilities, updating the website, all examples of facility level. But for hotels, it's a little bit different. If I check in a guest, that's a unit level. If I prepare a lovely buffet, receive supply shipments, that's a batch level. If I schedule my personnel, that's a service level. If I clean the rooms, maintain the pools, etc., that's going to be a facility level. And finally, if I do online education, I'm registering a student, I'm delivering perhaps an online course. Maybe that's going to be a batch level, but if I create a new course, that's a service level. And if I maintain course sites or control the course data, that's going to be facility level. So here, if I'm applying activity-based costing to a service provider, step one, here I'm clerical support, facility services, client consultations. So for clerical support, I'll use the documents provided. That's 300 of the little beauties as estimated. Billable hours for facility service, and there's 2,400 of those. And court dates, we would have 12 court dates for a legal service provider. So now we can take these budgeted costs, divide them by the total budgeted activity that we did here, and that gives us our activity rate. We have $300 per document, $20 per billable hour, and $3,000 per court date. Now, our activity usage here, we have litigation support and fraud investigation. So we have the number of documents, the number of billable hours, and the number of court dates for litigation and support and fraud investigation. And of course, it should total, and it does, the budgeted activity, which we see here. Okay, now all we have to do is multiply that through. The number of documents times 300, the number of activities times $20 per billable hour, and the number of court dates times the $3,000 per court date. So here we go. Same thing for the fraud investigation. We divide through by the number of units, the number of cases in this case, because this is a law firm, and we divide that by 39 cases of litigation support. So the overhead cost per litigation support is $3,000, where it's substantially less at $600 for a fraud investigation case. Okay, now we'll allocate selling, general, and administrative expenses to products and assess its profitability. And here, the customer profitability report determines the profitability for each customer. And we can compute the customer activity rate, again, by dividing the budgeted customer support cost by the budgeted base to determine the per base amount. So here we have our budgeted customer support cost and the budgeted technician miles. So here our customer support activity base is $2.50 per mile. And so here's our sales of 10 go-karts at $1,200 here. And our cost of goods sold, direct material, direct labor, and overhead. And now our gross profit is $1,600. Our customer service is going to be the amount we just calculated here at $2.50 per 200 miles, or $500. So the customer income for Six Flags here is $1,100. Okay, that looks like the end of chapter 17. And when we continue, we will look at chapter 18. Until that time, bye for now.